Microsoft and Google are now giving us some big upward moves after reporting their earnings. We're going to get into that and much more as we do some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, Meta, and going into Microsoft and Google after that. So we're going to be paying attention to this, but I'm going to first show you that signal on the SPY that said we should not be going short here. Let's get into it. First thing for the SPY, in order to do some technical analysis, we're going to need those drawings back up. Oh, there they are. Okay, so one thing to pay attention to, even though we are seeing those upward moves in the individual stocks, and now we could get some kind of bigger move outside of these weekly ranges, what can we pay attention to? Well, if this MACD is actually able to curl up into positive territory, that could mean a few days of positivity. Remember, if we were live with us this morning, we go live every single morning, and we were paying attention to a lot, but mainly saying something about that 30-minute crossing over. But I wanted to show you the daily here because this could be one last euphoric move into May before we see that sell away. So let's pay attention to these shorter signals. What were we paying attention to? Well, the 2-hour able to roll down into negative territory. You see that never happened. Even with this drop early in the morning today, that never happened, and now we're seeing an upward move. So let's first of all talk about these daily ranges. Look at the daily ranges. They're massive here. 515.35 to the upside, and we have 491.63 to the downside. Remember, we still get data in the morning as well, but it looks like we could end up in the sell zone. So it'll be interesting to see how the market reacts. Remember, we did talk about some kind of head and shoulders in here as we go into a 30-minute, but first wanted to talk about the 2-hour. We never got that confirmation of more downside by crossing over on this MACD. So therefore, now we have the opportunity to reject and go positive here. So we could be seeing a strong positive move. And if you were here live with us, we were talking about if this is going to see a strong positive move, we may see a euphoric move higher. So what was the signal I told you to pay attention to live to know, hey, I should not be going short here? Well, it's if this 30-minute crosses up on the MACD. This is overall how you could have been ruined out of a 2-hour trade going down, and that 2-hour didn't cross, so therefore you pay attention to the 30-minute. This thing crossed right on this bar here. So at 502.41, you should know, hey, I am no longer taking any kind of shorts in this position because this is overall just saying, hey, I'm built up. Now I have the opportunity to cross and go into positive territory here. It just tells you what you needed to do in order for that to go short is see that start to break to the downside, give you some kind of crossing on the MACD, back down into negative territory to convince you, hey, this thing's going to go lower. But as you can see, now this has a good opportunity to go positive, so you should not be trying to take anything with this. You shouldn't be trying to take any kind of short with this. If anything, you should say, hey, look at this, left, head, and now we've made a deep right shoulder. We've gone down deeper into this area, which actually caused more buying to come up, and now we might see a euphoric push as we break through this neckline. So for tomorrow, something that I could see happening early on in the morning with the SPY is what if we break out to this level and we retest and use that weekly expected move, that monthly, to then head higher. So overall, if we were paying attention to this and you have the monthly expected moves on Patreon as well, we were outside of the monthly, and what do we have? We have a 68% chance to land back within this zone by the end of April, and we're coming into the last few days of trading, so now it looks like we are going to end up back in that zone. Very interesting to see that. If you want the monthly ones, we're going to update those soon on Patreon. If you want the daily expected moves for every stock that we cover on this channel, including Microsoft and Google, we are giving those out on Patreon. It's actually already posted. You can go grab that down with the link in the description. All right, now going over to the Qs, it's going to be a similar story, right? What do we see? We see this crossing up of the MACD on the 30-minute. This should convince you, hey, yep, there's no more reason to take any downside, even though this looks rather flaggy in here. It extended for quite some time, and it was able to cross up. So from a risk perspective, you just don't want this to go positive. It's right by that center line, and when you see that positivity come in, what? You curl up, and then you curl back up into positive territory, and that's where we could actually see the next upward move. So this right here is saying, hey, do not go short in this area. We can look at the 2-hour. Did that ever prove itself? No, it didn't. So no reason to hold a short position in this area. If you're looking for some kind of position up here and you played that down, okay, your confirmation of more downside was watching this 2-hour crossover today. That didn't happen. We built back up. Now we have the opportunity to reject and go positive on this MACD, which will lead to some more upside. So let's pay attention to the upside. What can we pay attention to for tomorrow? Those daily expected moves, 436.94 to the upside and 411.96 to the downside. Now, something very interesting here is going to be 438.28. Remember, this is the level I think we really have to take back in order to get bullish again, in order to really get into a bullish trend again and maybe see a new all-time high in the SPY and the Qs. I think 438.28 on the Qs is very important. And notice where that daily expected move is tomorrow. Well, it's right up in that area. So this is where I'm expecting some resistance to come in. And what will I be paying attention to around here? Most likely a 30-minute. I'm going to pay attention to a 30-minute. Just because we don't trade around earnings or with the earnings doesn't mean we can't trade after it. Okay, you notice that the direction now, the stream is saying we want to go up. So unless that data tomorrow is bad for the market, we most likely, maybe even that data is bad and it just pulls us down like this. What happens? Well, we get that reaction back up. That just means, hey, this MACD is going to go positive and then curl back down towards that center line, and we can see the next move higher and be a part of that. But until that proves itself, we just sit and be patient. Wait for good trade setups. You're going to get plenty of bigger swings in this market. Now, if this MACD did want to do something crazy, like create some kind of divergence up here, that's something we'll pay attention to. And then we just have to watch, hey, is that 2 hour able to curl down? Is the 30-minute curling back up? Those are the things we're going to be paying attention to live tomorrow morning, and we would love to have you there. Apple looking like it's trickling higher. It looks like it needs some kind of pullback before it heads higher. Now, you don't want to fight against this. You don't necessarily want to short this. Why? Because you've got a crossing over on the daily MACD and you have divergence. So if you are new to this channel, something that I talk about a lot, there's a few rules I have for myself that I've gained while trading, and one of them is I do not short a stock that curls up on the daily MACD. I do not short a stock that gives me a green impression on the histogram, and it looks like it's about to cross the center line on the RSI, so Apple really could be getting a solid move here, actually, and you want to pay attention to that. And why am I saying a solid move? Because you got a steep divergence, and it's right by the RSI about to cross right now, so that positivity can come in straight away over the next few trading sessions. It's going to be very interesting for earnings if we are up in this area by that earnings, and if that is good, then we most likely are going to see some kind of euphoric move upward. And remember, you do get the daily expected moves here for Apple. Apple probably has like the smallest one out of them because a lot of them look like this, like almost like a weekly range. So pay attention because we could get some big swings tomorrow. Tesla is another one that we just want to pay attention to on the daily. Now, we were pointing out 15-minute divergences in here, right? So we can go into a 15-minute right after we look at this daily. So we're going to look at a 15-minute in a moment. But you can see here, this is a triple divergence on the MACD and RSI, right, at the same time. So this actually has very good potential to go up towards this zone here, towards 210. We'll have to see if that happens, right? We can see some kind of move towards 180.92. Really have to take that back to see more bullishness. But what if we get that reaction up, reaction down, and then see that move again? So what can we pay attention to here? Well, let's talk about what we were talking about live today. We were talking about some kind of divergence forming up here, causing some kind of pullback, and that could very well have happened, but it's not happening as of right now. So what do we want to pay attention to? 30-minute. It still looks like it needs to back off a little bit, so I would expect going into tomorrow, unless we really just see a crazy move up, what I want to do is just pay attention, watch that crazy move if I'm not a part of it, see if that's able to beat down for a little bit, and then continue that trend later on, curling down towards the center line, and then finding my trade setup to go higher. So for Tesla here, it's looking like we are going to end outside of that weekly expected move, that 163.45 to the upside. And for tomorrow, I would really be paying attention to my daily expected moves, but I think 180.92, if we're able to take that back, it would be pretty bullish for Tesla. Amazon seeing another upward move. And the cool part about Amazon, if you were, wondering if those weekly ranges get touched, well, they do get touched, and Amazon actually came outside of it with this wick. So if someone was paying attention and they just wanted to play the probabilities, they'd say, hey, well, it's down towards 166.12. Lucas said that line's important, and I'm outside of the weekly at this point. So this would be a great little trade to kind of scalp on. Now, this is giving you divergence on the 30-minute, and it's about to cross the center line. It will tomorrow with the RSI down there. So right up in this area is where I expect maybe we see some kind of left head and right shoulder form, right? We get that right shoulder. Maybe then earnings is actually good news for Amazon. Now we're starting to see some good prints, so we can see some building back. Some stuff had good numbers like Netflix that just gave a bad statement about subscribers. So maybe Netflix is able to buy back up as well because people might be thinking about, hey, at least they printed some good numbers. So we could form a left head and right shoulder for Amazon heading higher. And if this is going to curl back down, what do I have to do? I have to see this 30-minute roll back down into negative territory. That has to continue in order for this to head lower. If it's going to see some kind of move up and then do this and then base out and go this way, well, all we have to do is pay attention to this MACD, make sure we're paying attention which way that is actually going. If it's confirming downside, okay, you can take that. But if that just curls back up near positive territory, boom, next positive move is coming for Amazon. Just looking at Amazon on the daily, though, it's been beat down for a long time. It can see a few days worth of buying in this. It really can, because we came down into a good point here, some good support level. Now we can see that buying back up. Okay, is that going to cross on this MACD? Are we going to see a few days worth of positivity and then see that ripped away next week with maybe that Fed interest rate decision? We'll have to talk about that when it's happening, and we're here to update you every single night. So thank you for liking and subscribing. Now, Nvidia also, this is what we talked about live. We said, Nvidia does have the opportunity to do something crazy after today's earnings if they're good, because we could actually see Nvidia go to 1,000 here. And I just wanted to point that out because look at the daily. It's still by that center line, can go positive pretty quick. It's trying to curl up, and you have a lot of room to create even some kind of divergence if you are going to create one. So a move like this would actually make total sense here. So now you have a pretty good base down in this area. What if we see some kind of big move up like this towards 1,000? Then that's a sell that news type thing, right? You hit that whole number of 1,000. People have been waiting for that for a long time. We see a dip down. Maybe we get a bounce with earnings, and then that's ripped away. So I think this very well could be happening going forward, seeing some kind of left head and right shoulder. Now, that is just an idea out there. So we want to pay attention to the actual signals here. If the daily curls up into positive territory, you most likely are going to test this high up here, and you are maybe going to make a new high, right? So one of those two things will most likely happen if this daily is able to roll up into positive territory. What were we paying attention to? A 30-minute. Right, we were paying attention to a 30-minute crossing up into positive territory, and we said that most likely will confirm the next move higher. That started to happen. Sure, you got some double top going on up here, just a little bit, but nothing that's overbought by any means. So now that we're seeing another upward move, we just have to see how that positivity reacts if it's able to break through this trend at this point. Because if we do roll over, let's say we even come up here and roll over early on in the day, we actually could see that negativity come in as we roll into negative territory. So just be on your toes tomorrow. It's expiration, like the options expiration and things like that are happening. So we can see some profit taking, and I don't want us to be fooled out. So let's see if this heads higher. Is it able to pull back, but does it break through this low, continuing making a negative trend confirmed? We'll have to see from there. Something that can really help us out there is going to be the 2 hours, right? These 2 hours, yeah, they turn back up, but if they start to turn back down, we know, hey, maybe it's going to create some kind of bottom down here besides this one. But this is looking pretty good as a lower high or a higher low at this point. And so we could see that move up and just see a positive trend continue. Pay attention if the 2 hours is able to get into positive territory. AMD still has that potential to curl over this 2 hour, but the 30-minute is what we were looking at, and it's just curling back up. Now you do have potential for double top coming in here, so just pay attention early on tomorrow if we see some of these roll over. Remember, AMD, Nvidia, these don't even have earnings yet, so they have potential to actually roll over. They don't have that good news, and then maybe create something like this in the future, testing this low of this base. So we'll have to pay attention to that going forward. This MACD can easily roll negative tomorrow, but as we're seeing some positivity, pay attention if we take out this high. If we see some kind of good move up, look for that to go like this, and then you get back into that move. So even though we're not trading around earnings, we can trade right afterwards. We know the direction is up for now, but we do get data tomorrow, so we still have to be on our toes, and it's a good thing on this channel that we trade like water. AMD not giving the best structure to head higher just yet. If anything, it's giving you a double top at this point, right? If we come and touch this area up here, we could get a double top and see that ripped away. So I'll be paying attention to that, and we'll be talking about that live tomorrow. Meta got really beat up in its earnings, and guess what? It had a good print. Right? So we're noticing that just what people are saying is most likely what they're paying attention to at this point. So even if you have good numbers and you just say something bad, that's going to cause a dramatic drop off. Now, the cool part about Meta is it hit its weekly expected move. This actually went to the weekly expected move down here. So that was a good level to pay attention to. It's why you are joined on the Patreon. So what could we happen from here? Okay, well, we see some positivity come in. Remember, if we hold below 453.08, that's going to be bad news. But if we're able to take that back, that actually would be a good thing. Maybe we start to see this try to go into a positive trend. The only problem, you're very far down on this MACD. So if you want that positivity, you're going to have to see it for quite some time and not get any rollovers. Because if this just goes up to here and rolls over at any time, it could be making the next move lower, testing this lower, making a new one. So I would pay attention to that with Meta, see if it's able to build up to the center line and cross down on the 30-minute, and make sure that is confirming. Because you're noticing that a lot of the things that we were paying attention to today on the 2 hour, they never confirmed. Therefore, you shouldn't have been taking any downside. This right here is showing you, hey, I'm starting to loop back up. People may be trying to catch a falling knife. We'll have to see if that's able to get back over 453.08, or if we're just going to roll back down into negative territory for Meta. And now we get to get into Microsoft and Google, the big guys of the day. So starting off with Microsoft, we were pointing out some divergences down here. We were just saying, hey, just be careful. It's still earnings. If you were able to make money on this play and the technicals got it right this time, just say, hey, I'm lucky, because they probably just didn't say anything. They printed good numbers. So the fact that this actually ended up going higher, you can't really say that anything was based on technicals because earnings is right there and it's a 50-50 flip. We don't know what data they're going to put out there. We don't know what they're going to say, and that's why the technicals can get earnings wrong a lot of the time. Now, in this case, it did get it right, so what would I pay attention to going forward? A 2-hour chart. I think a 2-hour chart, if you can confirm this divergence, then what am I going to pay attention to? A daily chart, and it looks like Microsoft could have a big move coming. If this thing can go positive, we could see a new high for Microsoft and then see that go ripped away, right? We want to see this move go up, up, up like this, and then we'll maybe see that ripped away in the future with some kind of divergence. Remember, we talked about some kind of full retest of this level or even going to make a new high because we beat down to a good area and there seems to be buying pressure here. So good earnings means that is definitely a possibility. Be open to a test of this one if this is able to cross over, and be open to a higher price point for Microsoft if it crosses into positive territory down here. Now, going into Google, this one has the big move. This has a big move up, 178 points now priced in there. So we can pay attention to our daily expected moves. Okay, the daily expected moves for tomorrow, I'm going to tell you right now, I think Google's outside of it at this point. So Google is seeing a huge rapid move up, causing euphoria in the market. And that's something that we talked about live. Hey, if this really wants to curl up, we could see a euphoric moment here and then see that ripped away. So this euphoria could extend for a little bit of time. Just remember, we get more data next week. We get PCE tomorrow, and we get Fed interest rate decision next week as well. So there's a lot going on. We still have more earnings to get through. And so there's a lot of rocks to pay attention to. And I would just encourage you to trade like water. Now, what can we see from here? If this move starts to fade, then we actually could get some kind of divergence with this level. I know that the MACD and RSI don't look like that could happen, but if this move fades really quickly, we actually can get that set in there. So I want to pay attention to a 2-hour tomorrow, seeing this curl up. Is it able to curl down and go negative? The 2 hours is going to be telling with that, but as this is a very positive move, what can we do to the upside? So that would be if you're looking for downside, if you're looking for this to fade, I'd really look for some things to go negative, and one of those will be the 30 minutes. So as we are opening much higher, much higher, most likely this 30-minute is going to be well into negative or positive territory tomorrow, and then we could see that curl back down. What could form from that? Well, we could see that beat down towards the center line and curl back up. So now that we know the direction, we want to see if there's profit taking, and then next week maybe we get the second curl up and we see another move higher for Google going forward. This would be a time, don't get FOMO'd in or anything like that. Wait for the structure to show itself and you will be rewarded. Wait for the structure to show and then react. Don't try to predict, oh, this is going to just keep going up from here. Really, not even trying to say it's going to go short from here. I'm just going to pay attention to my charts and see if that next curl up is going, because this is a very strong move up. I assume there is going to be a second one for Google. Now, what is this causing volatility to do? Well, a few times we were pulling up the 30-minute for the volatility saying, hey, if this turns down, just wait, make sure that's not curling back up for that volatile move to happen. But you see, we took out this low. We had divergence and things like that happening, but we're seeing some big rapid upsides. So what do we pay attention to? Probably our 2-hour. I really want to see if this proves itself tomorrow, because this could mean, hey, we're going to see some volatility come in as far as early next week goes. So if we see a major drop off in volatility, but it still creates some kind of 2-hour divergence, I will be paying attention to this, and I'll be paying attention to the signals on the SPY at the same time. That's really how you want to use the VIX. Now, if we're going to see some buying up for a long time, we're most likely going to see volatility drop off, and the daily MACD here for volatility telling you that a few days in advance. Okay, so yesterday, actually getting this red impression, even though it's a buy signal, right? We don't pay attention to the buy and sell signal here. We look for our reasons to take a trade like in the course, which is 149 for the next like 9 days. So you want to make sure to go grab that if you want to learn about this stuff. But what do we expect? A reaction at the 200, that would be where our 2-hour divergence is able to form, or a reaction at the level of 13. So we could see some kind of last euphoric move and then see some kind of downturn with volatility ramping up one more time. If this is going to extend for a while, then we're just going to see this trickle down over time for a while, maybe get down to 1212 where we see a bunch of volatile reactions. So as of right now, paying attention to that 13 gap and the reaction at the 200 if we're going to see volatility come in right away. So pay attention to this, because you are seeing a signal that could mean we're going to see some major downside. Now that is sort of rejecting as of right now. I want to show you this. very up close. Look how this is rejecting right now. So now we can see some kind of euphoric move up. Isn't it crazy how this is your crash signal, and this is exactly what happens right before that is able to cross. The 50 cross and the 200 is a big crash signal, and that is not confirming right now. So you have to pay attention, because we could be seeing some amount of up days going on, whether that's just tomorrow and it's over, or that's going to be more extended. That's what you want to pay attention to with volatility. And we're going to look at this live. So make sure to come in live and mention volatility if you want me to take a peek at it, ask questions, and do all that good stuff. We really enjoy it in there. You can even ask about the course, which is only $149 for the next 9 days. Tomorrow is people are expecting that PCE to come in hot, and I'm interested to see if these yields actually push down tomorrow. We're coming down to a point where you have TLT that's outside its monthly, it's outside its weekly, and it needs to buy back up. You have a 2-hour here that's showing some good divergence for TLT outside of its weekly expected move down on this bar. So we actually could see this roll back up. What would that do? It could roll up the daily, and then that could cause a rapid move up to something like 91.50 or something like that. I think 91 is a good level for us to talk about later on, but 91.50, if we get there pretty quick, if we get to 92, 91.50 to 93, I'm going to be like, hey, watch out, because we could see those yields spike up one more time. Most likely we'll get some form of data around this time, so we'll pay attention to that. But I just wanted to show you that 2-hour signal for TLT. If that's able to confirm tomorrow, you could get that daily to roll up, and we might actually see the 10-year yield back off. So the main takeaway here is we never got that confirmation of more downside. If anything, the signal that I was telling you to pay attention to on the 30-minute actually confirmed we could see more upside. So paying attention to both scenarios at the same time can be very, very beneficial. And if you'd like to learn about this stuff, if you want to make it easier on yourself, understand these indicators a little bit better so that you can find some trading setups around these weekly expected moves, $149 for the course down there. It's very, very good. And I hope that you guys were able to make some money throughout all of this information we've been giving. Trading like water will really help you out in a market like this. But I just wanted to say thank you so much. It looks like we're getting a euphoric move up. It doesn't mean we want to FOMO in. We just want to play based on the structure and the price action and wait and react to get that trade. All right, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing. You guys are fantastic. I look forward to going live with you tomorrow. I hope you have a great night, and good luck trading for the rest of the week. Peace.